Eighth graders, it's good to be back with you again. A number of you took part in Earth Systems Part 1. We were able to turn in some really good things, and I thank you for that. I thank you for continuing to want to further your learning, and I ask that you encourage your friends to do the same. Earth Systems Part 2 piggybacks off of Earth Systems Part 1, where you talked about the water cycle, you talked about evaporation, condensation, precipitation, those types of things. And the documents that you guys turned in were really good. So we now go to Earth Systems Part 2, which takes what we know and takes it into weather patterns. Speaking of weather patterns, as I make this video on Sunday, I couldn't help but be reminded of a movie that has been seen a lot in my house with three girls, and that is Frozen. So if you click on the lead-in video right here, it reminds me of something that would be fun to do on a day like today, but also it reminds me of some things with COVID-19 and not being able to be around each other. So kind of an applicable, funny lead-in video with also some things with weather there along the way. So feel free to take part in that. Make sure that you're doing your IXLs. D2 and D3 should not take you very long. They're relatively short. Let me know if you have any questions. As you go through, you have the keywords link right here, and then talking about weather and convection, rising and falling of currents. Things move from hot to cold, remember. As you do the assignment, keep that in mind. Things moving from hot to cold. Talking about climate, talking about ocean currents. And lots of water. Water's really good. If you've seen Frozen 2, water has memory, and it travels all over the place. And so when you think about ocean currents affect largely the entire world in one way or another. And so as water travels through, it has memory of about everything. And if you've seen Frozen 2, then you can pick up on Olaf's antics on that and his call on that. Section 3 right here, winds and weather fronts. In order to create weather, we need to have winds. Well, where do those winds come from? The first video there is a Bill Nye video for those of you that are a Bill Nye fan. And then the other video there just talks about currents and talks about the jet stream. The jet stream affects a lot of different things, but the jet stream especially affects us. If on a clear day you were to look straight up in the sky at the clouds, if the top of the clouds are flat, that is the top of the jet stream. It is a long ways up there, but the jet stream is a fast-moving force of air that, if you will, moves weather patterns across the United States and especially affects Iowa. If you go into weather fronts, what things do we have to create this weather? What things do we have to have for a weather front? Think about the different kinds of weather fronts. And then we have interacting air masses, warm and cold. Remember, things move from hot to cold. So when they meet up, they don't like each other. And so they start to do different things. Sometimes they're nice. Sometimes they dance. Sometimes they dance really nice. And sometimes they dance really violently, and we get some severe weather. If you take a look at Section 4, going from weather into climates, really what's the difference? We interchange them a lot. And so when you think about weather, weather's slightly different than climate. Think about the weather in Iowa changes about every other minute, it seems like lately, and just can't make up its mind. And so what does that mean for our overall climate? And where does our climate come from? So the difference between weather and climate there, what is the difference? And why do you think we get them mixed up so interchangeably just in our talking? We mistake one for the other. Talking about oceans. Oceans are a driving force of weather. Remember I said that water affects a lot of things. And so when the sun is shining, as you found out up above, when the sun is shining on the earth, the warming and cooling of the earth and warming and cooling of the waters does affect things. And so what are two things that move heat, and which one's the fastest? I'm thinking about this video. And then give two ways that oceans control weather or weather patterns. When that warm and cold air comes off of the ocean and onto the land. How does it affect things? Kind of keep in mind, an example would be the Pacific Ocean, the moist air that comes off, let's say up by Seattle, and then it hits the mountains there. You're going to get a lot of rain in Seattle. Seattle's known for a lot of rain, but once that warm air then coming off the ocean rises up and it becomes more dense as it gets colder, as it goes to pass over the mountains there, it's going to become more dense, and so the water molecules are going to come closer together. They're going to turn from rain into snow, and that's why in states like Idaho and Wyoming you have more snow than rain, and then on the other side of the mountains there to the west you have more rain in Seattle. Kind of thinking about some of those things. Got a fill in the blank here. Ocean currents tend to circulate, blank waters towards the poles and blank waters towards the tropics. So think about warm and cold. Things move from hot to cold. What does that mean for those areas? And this activity helps to counteract the climate effects of uneven distributing of solar energy on the Earth's surface. So basically, it helps to take the energy that's from the sun that's always on the equator and really spread it out. Spread out that heat so that it's not just the equator that's getting those warm temperatures all the time. That's kind of spreading out the wealth, if you will, up to those of us to the north. Have a question here for you. What would happen to the climate and weather conditions if the Earth didn't have ocean currents? What would happen? Would we be able to live? Would we be able to only live in certain parts of the world? How would that affect things? Kind of a multiple choice there. Just highlight your answer for that one. And then a bonus question. What latitudes, areas of the world, are generally the wettest because heat absorption and evaporation in the oceans is the highest? So where do you think that there's the most heat and thus has the most rain? Think about rainforests and think about tropical areas. Next part here, some links there. How does the climate system work, and then factors that control climate? What are two things that cause different climates in different parts of the Earth? What causes those climates? And that's kind of at the beginning of the first video there, from the beginning up until about minute and 40 some seconds. And then the other things will come in later on. What kind of weather does low pressure give us? What kind of weather does high pressure give us? And then how do ocean currents make the climate of Northwest Europe mild? Talks about Arctic coldness coming down from the top, and then the warm waters from the equator coming up and across. And then how does that affect Northeastern Europe as well? Also has something to do with the fact that Ireland is quite green as it comes across there. A little bit of a checking for understanding. You can click on some of those links and just check what you know so far. And then here at the end, I don't want us to just understand about climates and weather in the world, although that's nice. But I want us to understand why in the world do we get the weather that we get in Iowa. So there, the Sioux Center climates. What month does Sioux Center receive the most rain? So you need to click on that link. You need to find Sioux Center in the list there. You need to scroll down all the different cities there, and then you need to take a look at some of those things. You can go through and the map and monthly and daily, but scroll down and figure out which months does Sioux Center have the most rain, and then as you come back, you'll be able to fill that in, and then click on this link here. What causes Iowa to receive a lot of rain? Where does that water come from that comes to Iowa? There's not any large bodies of water around us. I know Sandy Hollow has a lot of water, but where does all that rain come from? And I just want us to make a connection there. And so I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Please feel free to email me, make a video and send it to me. Any questions that you have, anything that you find as we go through about different weather patterns, go ahead and send it my way. I'd love to hear from you guys. Continue to work hard, and I look forward to being able to, hopefully, before the end of this year, be able to teach you guys in person. And so continue to be a bright light to those that you're around every day, and continue to work hard at the things that you're doing. Thank you for your time, and make it a great day.